All right, if you thought yesterday's section was pretty easy, the good news is today's section should be incredibly similar. Okay, we got 5 slides, shouldn't take us more than 5 or 6 minutes. Okay, so same thing as we did before, it's still one step. We're still solving them just like we had. Okay, the one difference now is the numbers are going to be a little bit bigger. So a divided by 4, the opposite of dividing by 4 is multiplying by 4. So I'm going to multiply by 4 over here. And so I get a is less than 24. Okay, the problem is it's not on my graph, so I got to make it 24. It's over there. And it's an open circle. And I'm going to shade left. Nice and simple. Now here on the bottom, same type of thing. We're going to divide by 2. And I'm going to get x, oops, right there. X is greater than or equal to negative 7. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to close the circle. And I'm going to shade to the right because the x is bigger than the negative 7. Pretty straightforward. Here's where it gets different. Okay? And there's one thing that you need to have, and you need to write this down in your notes. We get to this step, and I'm going to divide by negative 4. And over here, I'm going to divide by negative 4. Okay? We need to flip the sign. Okay? I'm going to make a new slide here so we can see. Okay, so if we divide or multiply by a negative number, okay, you must flip the sign. Okay, so if the sign was like this, it flips like that. If the sign was like that, it flips to that, and so on and so forth. Important, this is only for multiplying or dividing, not for addition or subtraction. Okay, so let's get back to the problem. So here, we need to go y, and now we have to flip the sign is greater than positive 3. So I'll go over here, and I'm going to shade to the right. Now here's what's important. The reason why this is true, I'm going to pick 2 numbers. One number that's bigger than that, or bigger than 3, so I'm going to go 4. And one number that's smaller, so I'll go 2. So if I plug this into the equation, 4 here, I go negative 4 times 4 gives me negative 16. And negative 16 is smaller than negative 12. So this is true. Over here, though, if I go negative 4 times 2, that gives me negative 8. Negative 8 is not smaller than negative 12, so it's false. Okay, so that's why we flip. For some reason, when we do these problems and we divide, especially when we divide by negative numbers, it messes this up. So that if we didn't flip this sign, and in red I wrote y is less than 3, that would have said that 2 should have been one of our answers. And since that's not true, that's also not true. So you have to flip the sign. Okay, only when you're multiplying or dividing by negative numbers. So down here, I'm going to divide by negative 1/4. I'm going to divide by negative 1/4. Over here, I'm going to rewrite this. So I'm going to turn this into 2 over 1 divided by negative 1 over 4. I got to flip this because it's dividing fractions. That's something we learned a long time ago. So that gives me 8 over negative 1, which is negative 8. So I get C, and I have to flip the sign because that was negative. It's less than or equal to negative 8. Once again, I stress, you only flip the sign when you multiply or divide by negative numbers. So I go over here. This will be shaded in, and we are going to be smaller than negative 8, so we're going to shade left. Okay. Whoops, I went the wrong way. Okay, so let's do a couple more and then a pause. Here, I'm going to divide by negative 12. So I get m, I got to flip the sign, is greater than, and now I got to simplify this down. So I'm going to go divide by 2, and I get 9 over negative 6. I'll divide by 3 and move that to the top, the negative to the top. So I get negative 3 over 2. That looks pretty good. Negative 3 over 2. I flipped the sign already. So I know negative 3 over 2 is negative 1.5 or 1/2. So I'll go here. The m is bigger than that number, so I'm going to shade right. And over here, that's a z. It's kind of hard to see. So I'm going to divide by 4. And now here's what's important. Because I divided by a positive 4, okay, it doesn't matter about this number. It only matters about the number on the bottom when you're dividing. Since I divided by 4, I do not have to flip the sign. Okay, so I'm going to leave the sign the same. And negative 2 over 4 simplifies down to negative 1 over 2. Okay. Well, that's in between 1 and 2. Negative 1 and 0. Ugh, not 1 and 2. It's in between negative 1 and 0. And the z is bigger than that, so I'm going to shade it and go to the right. There we go. Pause this and let you try these two on your own. This one should have been here. B is greater than 15 over 2, which is 7.5. So I go right there, and I'm going to shade right. This one here on the bottom, I should have divided by negative 6. So now I have to flip the sign, and I get z is greater than or equal to 8. And I'm going to shade to the right. All right. Here's your assignments. I want you to do 2 of these. All right, thanks.